After a double shift at the hospital, she just wanted to fill up her tank and go home until two officers surrounded her car. What they didn't know, her father was Delta Force. She didn't even want to stop. Tamika Rollins was running on caffeine, adrenaline, and a mother's willpower. Two back-to-back shifts at Baldwin County Hospital had left her feet sore, her eyes dry, and her mind floating somewhere between exhaustion and survival. It was close to 11:30 p.m. The twins were already at home with the neighbor, and she just needed to make it back to her small house on West Elm before midnight. But the gas light blinked orange. She pulled into an old Shell station just outside Milledgeville, Georgia. It was one of those half-lit lots with flickering overheads and a dusty snack aisle behind thick, bulletproof glass. Her silver Toyota Camry crept up to pump number 4. She left the engine running, not wanting to risk the car acting up again. Scrub still wrinkled from the ICU, Tamika reached for her card, glanced around, and exhaled. Then headlights flared in her rearview mirror. A Baldwin County Sheriff's SUV swung in behind her fast. She squinted. Another pulled in across the lot, parking at an angle like they were blocking her in. Two officers stepped out, young, maybe mid-30s, hands already on their belts. Tamika's stomach turned, but she kept her hands visible and didn't move. "Ma'am," the first officer said, approaching with a flashlight, "can I see your license and registration?" She blinked. "Is there a problem?" "We got a call about a suspicious vehicle matching this description. Need to make sure it's not stolen." Her voice stayed calm. "I just got off work. I'm a nurse at Baldwin County General. My ID's still on me." She pointed slowly to her hospital badge clipped to her top. Her fingers trembled. The officer didn't glance at it. "Registration and ID, now." She reached for her wallet on the passenger seat, slow, deliberate, heart thumping like it might climb out of her chest. She'd done everything right. Hands where they could see, clear voice, no sudden moves. Still, there was something in their tone, something practiced. "What's your business here?" the second officer chimed in, circling around to the passenger side. "Gas station closed in 10. I needed gas. My tank's empty." "You live around here?" "Yes." He leaned in, eyes darting toward the back seat where a car seat sat covered with a small fleece blanket. "You got someone with you?" "No, just me." A pause. Then the first officer said, "Pop the trunk." Her eyebrows lifted. "Excuse me?" "Pop the trunk." She stared at him. "On what grounds?" The officer stepped forward, his voice hardening. "Ma'am, this is a routine request. If you don't comply, we may have to escalate." Tamika swallowed. She could almost feel her heart pressing against her ribs. Not tonight, not after everything she'd gone through, not with her kids waiting. "I'm calling my father," she said quietly. "Ma'am, we're giving you a lawful order." She raised one hand slowly. "I'm calling my father right now." There was something about the way she said it, not loud, not defiant, just certain. She turned her back to them, keeping one hand raised, and dialed the number she knew by heart. He picked up after one ring. "Tamika!" Her throat tightened. "Daddy, I need you to come to the Shell station off Highway 22 right now." A pause, then only 3 words. "I'm on my way."
She hung up. The officers exchanged glances. "What was that?" one asked. She didn't answer. They weren't going to like who was coming, but they had no idea just how badly they'd misjudged her. The night air had turned thick with silence. Tamika stood still, phone in one hand, heart in the other. The officers didn't back off. If anything, they drew in closer, like they were sizing her up. Now that she had the nerve to make a phone call, she wasn't yelling, she wasn't crying. That seemed to bother them more than anything else. "You don't want to make this more complicated than it needs to be," the one with the square jaw said, his nameplate read Hobson. The other one, quieter, but watching every move she made, was Deputy Fielda. Fielda looked younger, more unsure, but he wasn't stopping Hobson, just standing by, letting it all play out. "I'm standing here doing nothing wrong," Tamika said. "You asked for ID, I gave it. You asked where I live, I told you. Why are you still pressing me?" "We're not pressing you," Hobson replied, voice clipped. "We're doing our job. Your job doesn't include treating people like criminals without cause." Hobson stepped even closer, hand brushing over his holster. Not grabbing, not unholstering, just reminding you. You got a problem with law enforcement? Tamika let out a breath. No, I have a problem with being treated like I'm guilty for existing. That was when he smirked, a little twitch at the corner of his mouth, like she just confirmed what he thought all along. You keep pushing, he said, and we'll have to bring you in. Loitering, interfering with an investigation? Investigation of what? She asked, her voice sharper now. I stopped for gas, that's it. No one called on me. You're making something out of nothing. Fielder finally stepped in, his voice less rigid. We got a vague report about a silver vehicle in this area. Could have been a mix-up. Tamika turned to him, eyes narrowing. So let me get this straight. You pulled in behind me, with backup, for a vague report. He didn't answer. I'm a nurse. I just came off a 14-hour shift saving people's lives. I've got 2 kids at home and I'm standing here being treated like I robbed the place. Silence stretched again, heavy and awkward.
That's when the clerk inside stepped out. Young guy, maybe 19, skinny, tall, wearing a bright orange hoodie with grease stains on the sleeves. Hey, officers, he said, trying to keep his voice neutral. She's been here like 2 minutes, ain't bothering nobody. Cameras caught everything, if you need it. Hobson shot him a glare. Stay inside, son, this doesn't concern you. The kid looked at Tamika, then back at the deputies. It kinda does, she's just getting gas. Get inside. He backed away, muttering under his breath. Tamika glanced at the pump, still not started. Her hands were trembling too hard to type in her pen. She looked back at Hobson. I'm not scared of you. He chuckled. You should be. But even as he said it, something about her stillness seemed to make him uneasy. Far in the distance, tires hissed over gravel. A vehicle turned off the highway and crept into the lot. Black SUV, windows tinted deep. It rolled to a stop in the space next to a car, like it had every right to be there, which it did. The driver's door opened. Out stepped a man about 6'3", solid build, stone gray clothes, close-cropped hair, eyes that didn't wonder, skin dark and weathered. He moved like someone who didn't need to announce himself, didn't ask for permission. Tamika, he said. Daddy! She exhaled and her shoulders dropped an inch. Not relaxed, just braced. Colonel Darius Rollins didn't look at the officers right away. He looked at his daughter, checked her face, her posture, her hands. Then he turned his head slow and deliberate toward Hobson and Fielder. A problem here, gentlemen, he asked, but neither of them seemed ready to answer. Colonel Darius Rollins didn't raise his voice. He didn't need to. There was something about him, how he stood, how his eyes locked on to Hobson's without blinking, that shifted the energy in the parking lot.
It was the kind of presence you didn't learn in a classroom or on patrol. It came from years of commanding soldiers in places the average man couldn't even pronounce, places where a mistake meant someone didn't come home. He stepped between his daughter and the officers like it was second nature. Hobson adjusted his stance. Sir, this is a police matter. We're conducting an investigation. Darius tilted his head. An investigation, he repeated, voice even. Of a nurse in scrubs at a gas pump? You got body cam footage of that? Fielder shifted uncomfortably. Hobson stiffened. We were following protocol. We received a report. Darius cut him off, voice low but unmistakably firm. You got a license plate match, a make, a model, anything more than a black woman in a silver car? Silence. He didn't wait for an answer. Let me tell you what I see, Darius continued, now pacing just slightly, hands behind his back. A woman, alone, tired, still in uniform, after saving lives. And I see 2 men using the weight of their badge to bully someone who didn't do a damn thing. Hobson took a step forward. I don't appreciate you. You don't need to appreciate anything, Darius said, eyes locked. You need to think very hard about where you are and who you're speaking to. For a second, it looked like Hobson was going to push back. His mouth opened, then it closed. Something in Darius's tone, the calm certainty, landed like a warning. The gas station clerk had come back outside, phone in hand, filming now. A couple in a pickup across the lot was watching too, window rolled halfway down. Even the late-night breeze seemed to pause. Tamika finally moved. She reached for the gas nozzle and started pumping. No one stopped her this time.
Darius looked at Fielda. You. The backup Fielda gave a short nod. Yes, sir. You got any children? Yes, sir. 2 boys. You'd want someone doing this to their mother. Fielda didn't answer. I didn't think so. Darius turned to Hobson again, this time holding his stare longer. You don't know who I am, do you? I don't care who you are, Hobson snapped, trying to reclaim control. Wrong move. Darius took a step forward, slow and deliberate. Colonel Darius Rollins, 32 years U.S. Army, last 10 with the 1st Special Forces Operational Detachment Delta. People don't say no to me, they say sir. Hobson's jaw tightened, but his hand dropped from his belt. And right now, sir, Darius added, you're going to let my daughter finish getting gas and then you're going to leave. You're not going to follow her. You're not going to harass her. You're not going to write up some backdated charge to justify your ego. He paused. Because if you do, I make one phone call and your badge, your pension, and whatever power you think you've got disappears before breakfast. Fielda took a half step back. Hobson stood still. Tamika finished at the pump, replaced the nozzle, and closed the tank. She looked at her father. We good? He didn't take his eyes off the officers. We're good. She walked slowly to the driver's seat, opened the door, and got in. The engine was still running. Darius didn't move until she was safely inside. Then, as if finally dismissing a nuisance, he turned away from Hobson and walked to his SUV. But what happened next would follow those officers far beyond that parking lot.